This is crazy. It's been hidden. Been hidden by that tree. Wow.
This is the story of how one forgotten mine led to the discovery that two major historic landmarks have been misplaced on maps for over 130 years. Browns Creek was where it all began, the first gold rush on Tasmania's west coast, sparked by Jack Brown and John R. Choo. After 2 months battling through the untracked wilderness, they struck gold in a remote creek running through open plains that would come to bear Brown's name forever. Stranded by floodwaters on the return home, Brown finally staggered into Waratah in early January, almost unrecognisable from exhaustion. On the 6th of January 1879, he registered his prospector's claim, and word spread fast. Within days, a rush was underway, and up to 500 men flooded the area. A newspaper reports told of one hill, Blackguard Hill, being completely covered in tents. But somewhere along the lines, the maps got it wrong. On a recent trip out to Browns Plains, I started noticing the discrepancies. The hill labelled Blackguard today doesn't match the old records. It's too high, sitting 67 feet above the 900-foot elevation recorded on the earliest chart. It's also off to the edge of the plains, not in the centre as described, and there's no defined crown where the infamous lightning strike could have occurred. And Browns Creek, would you believe it's currently marked at the opposite end of the plains? Which would mean diggers were supposedly walking 2.5 kilometres from camp to creek every day. To me, that story makes no sense. How could history have become so skewed? And how has no one ever corrected it? Where did it all go wrong? In this video, we'll be diving into every historic document available, scouring 1800s newspaper reports, and following every clue we can find. We'll set out on foot to explore Browns Plains, to retrace the steps of the early diggers, and after nearly a century and a half, we'll finally put both of these landmarks back in their rightful place. It's day one of my Browns Plains investigation, and I'm gearing up to check out a hill behind me which ticks all the boxes. It's the right height, it's in the centre of the plains, and it's got a stand of hardwood trees right on its crown. This is enough to spark my curiosity, but before we head up there, I want to show you something I found last night. Okay, you can see here we are with a little blue dot there, a little north of 8 Mile Creek. I've tried to get as close as I can to the 8 mile marker from the old maps. It's 8 miles from Corinna, because the newspaper article I found last night after I'd done my packing actually stated in measurements that Blackguard Hill was 400 yards to the east of the 8 mile peg. Now, as you can see here on the map, this is the Blackguard Hill that I believe to be right. This is the Blackguard Hill on modern maps, over 1 kilometre away. And if we just pull up little old mate compass here and we point him that way, well, what do you know, that's east. I hope you guys are ready for this. This is the stuff I live for. Backing the research up with the physical evidence, and we're in for a hell of an adventure today. Buckle in. As I made my way towards the hill, I couldn't help feeling like I was stalking an old sleeping giant. This historic landmark had been misplaced for over a century, and I wondered what relics might be left behind. But what I soon discovered shocked me more than I could have imagined. Looks like we've got a trench here. Is that a trench, or is that where the bloody lightning strike hit the tree?
So it's either old diggings or an old stump. But there seems to be more diggings here, you see. There's a little shaft here. There's a little test pit here. Alright, it seems like we've got our first target. Something iron in here. Something big too, because I'm getting it on this side as well. Right in here. Don't know what that is. I think that's it though.
I continued to scan the ground, but was surprised to find it almost barren of targets. Surely a thriving population of 500 men would leave more than this behind.
I just need something to get me started. I think once I get my first real relic, we'll be on. Well, I'm amazed so far how clean it is here, but I will say that when the mature tree was here, the 150-foot one that was right on the crown, there was obviously other vegetation with it if that was there for the lightning strike, so perhaps the men didn't use this area at all. I'm going to head out onto the plains and keep covering the ground.
This was a big area and would certainly accommodate a city of tents pegged out by the men, but the vegetation was thick and would require finding small pockets to test with the detector.
Maybe it's that big flat over there. See how it's like a table? It's real flat, even though it's on an angle. I reckon that's it. This is crazy. I can't believe I haven't found anything other than that one little hook thing. It's so weird that I come into a trip so certain and then still have the wind pulled out of my sails. I mean, this vegetation is thick, but I've had enough opportunities to strike ground that if this had been the hill, I should have got something. I mean, 500 men leaves a lot of mess. The only thing is I'm thinking is it's all based on that tabletop one over there. So I'm gonna make my way over there and see if I can redeem this trip. Anything can pop up at any time here. Got to put in the time, just got to keep at it. It's tough terrain and I can't expect to just hover over targets instantly.
I continued covering the ground wherever I could. This hill in total is around half a kilometre long, so finding the exact spot where the men were camped was presenting a challenge.
This is perfect vegetation. Just need the history to have been here. Why wouldn't they? It's a nice little flat. Well, I've tried quite a bit up here on top of the hill, and I've got a feeling that maybe they were lower, like halfway down the hill on one of the flats closer to the road. Probably makes more sense than being exposed high up on the ridge. We'll see. I'll make my way down, see if I can pick up any targets on the flat. Well, I was just making my way off the hill to go down to the flat land, and I think I've just found a bloody adit. Oh, I have. Or some sort of trench.
Little did I know that this seemingly small discovery was going to be massive later on.
Working into the hill. Wow. I wonder if this is caved in recent years. It's probably a lot deeper, and all of this stuff here that I'm standing on has fallen down. Yeah, I reckon it has. Some of it's so cemented together, like a conglomerate. Must be a bit of a spring here or something. Well, I've gone on a pretty wild goose chase up on this hill. Still nothing. Still nothing. What the hell is going on? How can this happen? We'll do another lap. Okay, after about an hour, I finally got my first target. Let's see what we've got. We're behind that mature stand of trees. So potentially this little ridge here that runs along the back of Blackguard Hill could be where some relics will be found. What? Oh! What's that? Oh, there's some wire here. I just sat the detector down and it landed on this wire. There's heaps of stuff here. Look at that. It's probably all wire. They're in these little loops too.
I couldn't tell how old it was, but targets were targets, and maybe they'd lead me to something better. So I collected them all into a pile and continued to search the ground. But as usual, nature was jealous with her treasures, and she was not going to make this easy.
I can't explain it. I don't understand why there's nothing up here other than the possibility that it's so deep that I can't get at it with the detector and the vegetation. But I'd have thought that there's enough little spots where you can get it close to the ground. I'd have thought I'd found something by now. A nail or, you know, a tent peg is what I thought there'd be heaps of them, because I'd 500 men living here in tents. There would have been heaps of tent pegs that went in the ground that probably got lost, but maybe they were so big that they didn't really lose them. And when they were leaving their camps, they got everything, but still no bottles, no tins. It's weird, it's eerie. I just can't explain it.
Was I wrong about this? But then that would mean all of the history was wrong too. And if that's the case, where was the real Blackguard Hill? Maybe my expectations were just too high. But I wasn't going to quit just yet.
This is crazy. Look at the area I've covered. I've gone over nearly all of the hills. Alright, I've got a target here. Must be pretty close. Look at that. I'm picking it up from here. Oh, wow. Okay, there's a pretty crazy relic. That's an intact bullet. Wow. That was on the surface. Not sure if we can date this, but it's a pretty substantial sized bullet. Any gurus out there want to have a crack at this? Oh, I'm gonna leave that there because I don't really want to be carrying that around in case it explodes. So yeah, it's a start. I'll keep continuing along here and maybe I'll pick up more relics. Finally, another one. It's been a long time coming. Don't know what that is. That's like a little piece of lead. Might be a tiny little bullet, but it looks kind of out of shape. Well, I've been up, down, all around, and yep, a few targets, but not satisfied. I'm gonna head back over to the original starting spot and have a bit more of a detect there before I have to call it a day. Well, I've spent all day going over these hills and I've got a couple of targets, but nowhere near the amount that I was expecting. I'm kind of in shock, to be honest, because there's too much evidence to support that this is Blackguard Hill, yet there's nothing left here from when it was occupied, which I just find very hard to believe. So I'm in two minds about it. I don't think there's anything I've done wrong with this. I think I've studied it really well, and with the detecting, I just didn't quite get the result that I was expecting. So does that mean that this isn't Blackguard Hill? I can't say for sure.
2 bullets and a piece of junk. I'm not gonna lie, this one hurt. An investigation this big deserves a better outcome. So I went back to the drawing board, scouring for every document I could obtain. And it turned out this trip would not be in vain, as what I uncovered was overlooked by officials for over 100 years. Neither Blackguard Hill nor Browns Creek appeared on the first official mineral chart, which covered the years 1891 to 1898. However, Blackguard Hill was at least mentioned in Montgomery's 1894 report on the Corinna Goldfield, described as being 400 yards east of the 8 Mile Peg. Montgomery also noted a tunnel driven into the western side of the hill by a Mr. Harvey. The following mineral chart, spanning 1898 to 1925, finally included Browns Creek, though its position would shift once again in the subsequent chart from 1925 onwards, ultimately placing it in its current location flowing into the White River. By this point, Blackguard Hill appears on the charts, and much of this information is carried forward in later government reports, most notably in the 1939 survey by government geologist Frank Blake. His report, the most recent comprehensive survey of the area, is the source of many of the place names we use today. But they've all missed one thing, one crucial report buried deep in the archives, one document that would set history straight. It was an early report by Gustav Thurrow, the very first Tasmanian inspector of mines and government mining geologist. He visited Browns Creek in 1881, just 2 years after the rush had come and gone, and his map tells the truth. Browns Creek didn't flow south into the White River, it ran west, straight into the Savage. While inspecting Browns Creek, Thurrow noticed Messrs. Harvey held a 50-acre lease originally taken up in search of a reef. Conglomerate outcrops on the southeast side of the creek had been mistaken for quartz. He recorded an 84-foot tunnel driven into the hillside before hitting slate, after which a second, higher tunnel was started to connect with the first. His report also detailed the hill's geology, wash, conglomerate, sandstone, and depicted the mine's location on the hillside. And here's where it all comes together. The Mr. Harvey, mentioned in Montgomery's 1896 report, the one who drove a tunnel into the west side of Blackguard Hill, is the same Harvey who, according to Thurrow, drove the 84-foot tunnel from Browns Creek, because they're the same tunnel, which means that the creek known today as 8 Mile Creek is actually Browns Creek, and the hill in which that 84-foot tunnel was driven into, well, that's undoubtedly Blackguard Hill. Using this knowledge, we can now use our final clue to pinpoint the campgrounds from a newspaper report published in 1884, where the traveller was passing through Browns Plains. The road crosses Walters Gully, where the track diverges to Rocky River, thence by an old camping place where a tunnel has been put into the adjacent hill through a superstratum of made ground of considerable depth. 2 years since Messrs. Harvey and Lambie, who prospected here, informed me that they had obtained straggling specks of rough gold in the tunnel, as the work proceeded. But here, work has been postponed sine die. Following this route on the earliest map, we can see Walter's Gully must have been at the 8 Mile Peg. The path to the Rocky River then passes over the hill I've been detecting. Most importantly, the campground was noted as being on the hill adjacent to the one with the tunnel, meaning the flat top in the middle of the hill was definitely the campground.
So I've come back for round 2, Rob versus Blackguard Hill. I've got my little 6-inch coil on the Gold Monster, which I'm hoping will provide me some better depth. And I'm going to be narrowing my search range today based on that new report which said that the old camping place was adjacent to where the tunnel was, which puts me not on that hill over there with the big stand of trees, but on another one up here. And I had a feeling last time I was here that that would have been Blackguard Hill because it's a flat kind of table with a slight lean to it, so it's ultimate for camping. But I probably rushed or didn't have the right depth, so I didn't find anything there. We'll see how we go today. Oh, well, this is kind of sad. Like, I've been going for half an hour now and I've got nothing. Come up from behind those trees, done heaps around here. Nothing. This is insanity. I don't understand it. I can't be in the right spot. That's the only thing. The only logical explanation is that I'm not yet in the right spot. I'll keep trying. So I've done a very nice circle around the hill in an hour and not a single target. Is this the hill that's adjacent to the one with the tunnel, or is it possible that it's that one there? So you've got Blackguard Hill here with the tunnel. Perhaps the old camping ground they talked about, which was adjacent, is that hill behind Blackguard. That would offer some wind protection from the trees. We're looking south now, so the westerly wind cuts across that way. So if you were camped in the saddle or around there, you'd be somewhat sheltered, which was always one of the biggest issues I had with imagining all the men up here on a windy ridge. It's not really ideal. But if you're behind those trees, maybe you are. Now, I did detect there last time, and I don't think I found a little piece of wire up on that hill. Actually, quite a bit of wire up on the hill. So that's probably the best bet, is to go back where that wire is and spend more time there, because it's the only place I've really got targets other than the random bullets, but one of them being on the surface can't really amount to much. I think it was just around here somewhere. So much wire, but nothing else. Not another single target. Makes you wonder, hey? What they were up to with it. There's really nothing else for me to do other than aimlessly wander around these hills and just try to catch something. That's all I've got. Is luck now. Let's go check out this tunnel again. So I reckon all of these rocks here came out of Browns Creek as they were working out here. They knew that the gold was mixed in with the quartz, which is why Harvey, after the rush had finished, took out a 50-acre lease to prospect for a reef. Which was noted to be in the southwest corner of the creek. So let's follow this back up to where I found that tunnel last time. Oh, that is deep. They've trenched all the way up here. So there's the tunnel in that direction. As you can see, we're in that creek, must be Browns Creek, pointing southeast towards Blackguard's Hill, and this is the direction the tunnel goes in. Southeast. So this is what the report from 1881 was depicting in the pictures that were drawn.
Well, I can't say I was wrong about this, but the best of the tunnel was yet to come.
I've just come over a little bit. I feel like there's more workings here. Ones I didn't see last time. Whoa. No way. This must be the actual tunnel. This must be the 84-footer. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Holy crap. This is gnarly. Wow. I thought for sure that other one was it, but this is crazy. It's been hidden. Been hidden by that tree. Wow. I'm gonna go in for a little explore, not too deep. But I've got to see it. was timbered. Oh man, it's so deep already. Look, that's timbered there. That's the one. That's the adit. This is the one Harvey dug out. Oh crap. Oh. Alright, I'm not gonna go in there. It's too risky. A little bird's nest. It's super muddy and boggy, this ground. I guess because it's been dripping in here for so long. Well, just when you think you've got it nutted out, this place throws you a curveball. I could have so easily missed that. This here's the stuff that they mistook for a quartz reef. And you can see why. She's solid conglomerate of quartz. Wow, what a find that was. And you can tell no one's been in there for so long. No mining companies or anything. There's no tape, there was no footprints. It was all just totally overgrown. So somehow that's gone unseen for decades, centuries even. So that's the tunnel hill. That's got to be the adjacent one, surely. I'm going to have one last go at it, and then I'll have to get out of here.
Once again, I didn't find anything with a detector, so I guess we can say this. For a bunch of blackguards, they were a bloody clean lot, and probably should be credited for inventing the leave no trace policy. But in all seriousness, the area has been subject to massive bushfires in the past. The quartz plains are boggy and they've been turned over by several mining companies in the past. But one thing's for sure, the mystery of Browns Creek and Blackguard Hills location have finally been solved, and I'll be submitting my work to the government departments to see if we can recognise these areas in their appropriate locations. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, take care.